Hey everybody, what's going on? It's James here with Crypto Common Sense, and I have a Bitcoin/cryptocurrency market update for February the 4th. So before I jump into the content for this video, please do me a huge favor, hit that thumbs up button, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure you join the Patreon. There's a link down in the description, just $7 a month, gives you access to more frequent updates, in fact, pretty much daily updates inside of my Patreon Discord, and keeps the content coming, all right? So let's talk about Bitcoin, and I'm actually going to talk about gold real quick today as well, right? Gold and Bitcoin look so similar right now in some respects. People oftentimes, think that I just have something against Bitcoin, and that's not really it. It's just, I'm looking at a chart, and when things get super irrational and super, out of sorts, if you will, I just tend to wait for that market to correct and wait for that market to come to me. And sometimes it takes longer than I expect, which has definitely been the case with Bitcoin the last, 8 or 12 months. But 2019 took longer than I expected, right? When I was making the calls in 2019, up around 12, 13K, as I would go down to 4K, I thought it would happen in 3 or 4 months. I didn't expect it to take 9 months. So timing is tough, right? Timing is really, really tough with markets. But people had asked me recently, if I didn't like Bitcoin, was I storing my money in gold and precious metals? And my answer to that was I already have some precious metals. I do have gold and I do have silver, but no, I wasn't adding to my positions. I didn't think gold looked overly great. Unfortunately, it's been going down, which is, not a good thing for me because, like I said, I do have a position. But if it does go down, I'll just buy more, right? I'll tell you what I'm looking for on that. So this is a daily gold chart. You can see that it's in a very clear downward channel. And if, most crypto people saw this chart, they would say, yep, that's a downward channel. No doubt about it. I don't want to be longing that. I'll wait for some type of breakout, to the upside of that channel. But the reason I'm showing you this is because if I go over to Bitcoin and show you the exact same type of price information, a lot of those very same people would say, I'm super bullish on Bitcoin. This is nothing but a correction. We're going to go up to $100,000 from here, right? And it's because they're so bullishly biased, right? It's the same reason that last year, I missed a lot of good longs because I was so bearishly biased. But these charts are not all that dissimilar, right? So on gold, what I'm waiting for on gold is, waiting to see if this thing puts in some kind of bullish structure. And even if it doesn't, I will probably look to add to my long term. And when I say long term, I'm talking about long term, decades long, right? I will probably look to add to my gold positions if we can come back down and retest this area down here. There's some demand down here, plus it's the golden pocket down around $1,400-$1,500, right? Some people say, oh, it's never going that low. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know if it'll ever go that low. I'm just saying if it does, I want to get a really good deal. It's kind of like, sometimes I'll give you a great example. My computer, I have several computers, too many computers. I'm a bit of a computer nerd. But my main computer for my trading is a couple of years old. So I decided I wanted to buy a new computer, right? I want to get a new graphics card. And my graphics card right now is what's called a 1080 Ti. It was, top of the line, $800-$900 a few years ago. I don't run out and buy a new graphics card the day they come out when they're overpriced. I don't buy the graphics card, a week later when they're out of stock and everybody's charging twice what they're worth. I'll wait until they're in stock and I'll buy it at a decent price. I do the same thing with assets. I don't run out and buy them. I might want to own more gold, but I'm not going to run out and buy gold for $1,800 an ounce. If it goes up without me, no problem. I already got some gold, right? I'll buy it eventually when it puts in some kind of decent retracement and hits some kind of zone I'm looking for. And it's the same thing with Bitcoin, right? When we look at this downward sloping channel, if it breaks out of the channel and it starts to go north, it doesn't mean I'll chase it down. It just means that I'll have to make sure that when I'm looking for trades that I'm biased to the long side, that I'm taking long swing trades, that I'm taking long position trades and things like that. But I won't go out and buy spot Bitcoin, right? When I buy spot Bitcoin, when I invest in Bitcoin, I want to see a really good retracement, preferably down to the golden pocket, at least, right? So if I put some Fibonacci levels on here, what I would be looking for is a retracement down to 12 to 18K, right? Somewhere in this zone down here. Those are the areas where I might, depending on what's happening in the world and depending on what the chart looks like, might want to add to my long-term positions. I have a feeling that 12K is going to be a pretty strong level of support if we get there. Again, don't know if we will or not. But the reason I feel that way is because if you put this on a volume profile from March until now, you can see that that's really, got a pretty big base of support there volume-wise. The point of control is a little bit lower down under 10K. I wouldn't surprise me to go down and test those levels, but I think 12K might be an interesting level. You take the volume profiles off, right? Not only is it the 78.6 retracement, but it's also had a lot of demand through that zone. Look, right, all through here over the last few years, there was a lot of trading in that zone through here, a little bit here, and then all through here. So I think that whole zone there, that 10 to 12K zone, I would venture guess it's probably going to hold, right? And it might not, nothing's guaranteed, but I will probably look for long positions down there if we get there. No guarantee we're getting there anytime soon. All right. But on Bitcoin, this is a weekly chart. I've said this before and I'll say it again, just a reminder, in bull markets, Bitcoin tends to retrace down to around 50 to 55 RSI, right? We saw that all through here in this previous bull market. We saw it all through 2020. It kept retracing to that level, right? So I feel like if this is a bull market correction, that I still want to wait for it to come down to that level, right? It's a little tricky right now because previous bull markets, they retrace about 30% and then keep going up. It has retraced 30%, so this could end up being the correction and it could go up and just never come down into the golden pocket. It would be odd, but not impossible. It would also require RSI to stay overbought. When in bull markets, it tends to go overbought and then come back down and retest this and go overbought and rinse and repeat. So for me, I'm still being very, very patient. I'm not rushing into any kind of positions or anything. Just waiting, right? Just waiting. That's the weekly chart. I'd like to see that RSI get down to 50, 55, and then I'd look for maybe some long-term positions. If we look at a 12-day chart, same thing. We're seeing the RSI is still extremely overbought. It's up here at 86.89. It's kind of hard to see. Let's make this yellow, right? So I expect it to cool off some. If we go look at a monthly chart, we saw that we had that huge wick in the previous month. And now we've pumped up this month, and a lot of people obviously are, getting excited about that. I understand certainly that, it is an exciting thing if you're a bull. It's like, oh gosh, here we go. We're going. But just remember that in 2017, when we topped, right, the next month opened by pumping 23.9%, and then the market collapsed. And in 2019, when June closed with that huge wick and July opened, it actually pumped 22.69% and then collapsed. So the fact that February has opened this year and pumped 16.99%, it's not actually any different from 2017 or 2019, except for it hasn't pumped quite as much yet. And I say that because you got to be really careful. If this thing pumps 22% or 23% like these previous tops, it would put price way up here around $40,000, maybe even $41,000, which would be really brutal because that would break it out of this channel, but it would also put it in danger of double topping, right? Where you end up with just a retest of that top and then go down. So there's some really dangerous possibilities that are out there that could potentially play out. And it wouldn't be absurd, by the way, because if you measure this move from this bottom to this top, this was a test of the golden pocket, which means that it could potentially play out some type of extension, which would give it a target of 41.7. 41.7, which would, of course, be something like this. And then you'd break out of this range. It would look like, oh gosh, we're going up. Maybe we would, or maybe it would be a trap, and then you double top it, right? So there's some pretty interesting stuff. We're not trending right now up, and we are, somewhat trending down. We're in this downward channel, but I think you still got to be really careful because technically speaking, if you're counting the tails, this was a double bottom. This was a pump, broke that neckline right there, retested it, and then pumped off of it. And you've watched previous videos. If you have watched previous videos, you've seen me say that what I'm looking for is I'm often looking for W's that retest the neckline. That's where I go long, and then I ride it up. So technically speaking, this is actually bullish structure inside of a downtrend. And that's one reason that I'm not in any type of positional shorts. I tend to think it probably would be a good idea to short it. You know, I think it'll be one of those things where I look back and go, gosh, I knew I should have shorted that. But I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to take a position trade on this. I just don't see enough information right now to convince me that it's not going to pull some kind of funny business and maybe, you know, wash out bears if it's even going down at all, right? So I'm being patient and trading the smaller time frames, mainly the 5-15-minute charts, even some hourly chart stuff. But yeah, you know, still sitting on my crypto. Haven't sold the rest of that portfolio I have. Of course, you guys know if you've been watching the videos for a few years now that it was very, very alt heavy, about 75% alts, with alts performing the way they have the last few weeks. Those gains have been pretty great. And it's been nice, you know, I won't lie. It's been nice to wake up to free money every day where the portfolio is just going up, up, up without me doing anything with it. So I won't complain. If this turns out to be a bull market correction and it just keeps going up, I will take that with a smile on my face and, you know, ride it up with everybody else. But I don't want to add to my positions. And, you know, hindsight being 2020, sure, maybe I shouldn't have sold as much crypto as I did when I did, but you know, no rear view mirrors in trading. You can't live in the past. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? I held on to a significant amount, certainly more than most people probably have in the world. Maybe not more than most of the crypto diehards have, but you know, it was a decent amount of crypto. So if I have been wrong, it'll still be nice. That's it. That's what I'm watching on Bitcoin. Just being super patient and not getting too far ahead of myself. You know, like I said, if it retraces down there, then, you know, that'll be something to talk about. But until then, just going to sit back and be patient. I'm going to watch how this unfolds. I'm going to watch that gold and see how kind of gold unfolds because it's kind of leading the way. And if you remember back in 2019, right, we actually had some similar things going on here with gold and then ended up pumping. So maybe Bitcoin pulls one of these gotchas, right, and pumps for us. The other thing I would say is just be mindful that the stock market is in pretty rough shape right now, okay? I don't want to go off on stocks today. I don't want to do a long video, but do keep in mind that the stock market is looking very similar to how it looked in February of last year. Okay, I'm just going to do this real quickly. This was February last year. This was February of this year, right? Similar volume bars. Same thing. Put in, you know, this doji type of candle last year, put in a similar candle, not exactly the same this year in February, and then it opened, January. It opened February last year by pumping almost 5% and then crashing down 35% over the next few months. So far this month, we have pumped about 2.9%. So I'm still wondering a little bit if this is going to pull another gotcha where it pumps up a little bit, traps people, and then, you know, starts to collapse. And if the stock market collapses, again, we know that last year when it fell 35%, Bitcoin fell about 50%. So that could be what takes Bitcoin down if Bitcoin's going to go down. If the stock market keeps going up, tough to say what comes of Bitcoin, all right? Keep in mind also that the dollar is looking pretty good right now. For my dollar, right? The dollar did put in a inverse head and shoulders. So I posted up yesterday on social media that I didn't know if I should trust it yet, but one thing I knew for sure was that I didn't want to make a habit of shorting smiling markets. That was the inverse head and shoulders, and we now have broke out of that. Of course, we know historically when the dollar is strong, markets like stocks and cryptocurrency tend to move down. So we'll have to see what comes of that dollar strength. Keep in mind that the dollar actually bled out about 13% from last year's top to the bottom. That's a horrific bleed out. This is not like crypto where 13% is like, it's not too bad. That's really, really significant in the dollar index. So it could be that what we did was basically come down and test this level. It was starting to look like it was going to double top. And we see in crypto all the time how those are often fake outs, right? Well, look at that. Tested that level, and so far the demand has been there, and it's starting to move back up off of that. So if it were to bounce, if it, and we don't know if it's bullish or bearish or whatever, because this is kind of ranging sideways a bit. But if it were to bounce back up to even the golden pocket on that, it would be way up here around 97 or so. And that would, potentially put a halt to Bitcoin's advance right now, because the narrative, if you believe it, is that people are running to Bitcoin to protect their US dollars as a hedge in case of inflation and things like that. So if the dollar looks good and they gain confidence in that dollar, they might start to exit Bitcoin and move back over to the dollar and wait for some type of correction in the Bitcoin market. So I think I'll go ahead and wrap up there. Like I said, I want to keep the video fairly concise. I don't want to do 30, 40-minute videos. They take too long to edit. But I hope you did enjoy that. I would say that please remember, I'm just some guy sitting in a spare bedroom. I have been wrong before. I will be wrong again. That's about the only thing I can guarantee, is I will be wrong again at some point. I might be wrong about Bitcoin right now. All right, I tried to lay out the bullish scenario, tried to lay out the bearish scenario. Again, keep in mind that if it breaks north of that, I don't even know if I said this, let me say it real quick. If it does break north of that channel, it could potentially be that this is not a channel at all, and that it's actually a symmetrical triangle, and that symmetrical triangle does have a breakout target up around $50,000. So that's the bullish scenario. If it starts to break north, that's a potential scenario. And of course, the bearish scenario is just that it corrects back down to that maybe 10 to 12K area over the next several months. And then this is the bull market, which it certainly appears to be. Hopefully it would form a bottom and then, go up from there, maybe to, 50, 60, 70K, or some of these other targets that people are, more hopeful for. But that's where I stand, being very patient, being very relaxed, and letting the market do its thing. And once it tells me which direction it wants to go, I will do a better job this year of going with that direction instead of simply waiting for my direction to come true. All right. Again, please remember that, I am, like I said, just some guy sitting in a spare bedroom. So make sure you do your own due diligence. Make sure you seek out professional financial advice from a licensed financial advisor before making any type of investment in cryptocurrency, the stock market, or precious metals. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and if you have not already, make sure you join the Patreon. It's just $7 a month. That gives you access to more frequent updates. And if you'd like to join my trading course, you can learn all my proprietary trade setups. There will be a link down below the video for that as well. This is James with Crypto Common Sense, reminding you to please trade safe.